Nashville. Auburn Tigers will be taking on the Tennessee Volunteers coming up a little bit later this afternoon. It'll be the second game of the day. Kentucky and Mizzou, they will tip off in about 25 minutes from now. Most of the conference tournament action will tip off here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to go to Tuscaloosa coming up momentarily, and we will hear from our good friend Rodney Orr from Tider Insider as spring practice continues to roll on. Matter of fact, I think Ryan Grubb is actually meeting with the media here in just a little while after practice. We heard from Kalen DeBoer earlier this week, so we'll get an opportunity to hear what the offensive coordinator has to say about the Alabama Crimson Tide, as this will be the third spring for Kalen DeBoer. This will be the second spring for Ryan Grubb. As we all remember, he left after originally being named the OC for the Seattle Seahawks, and he is now back in Tuscaloosa for his second year. Italy over Mexico last night, 9-1 in the World Baseball Classic. What does that mean? It means the U.S. now has advanced to the quarterfinals. So despite the embarrassing loss to Italy the night before, they get the help from the Italians last night by beating Mexico. So the U.S. will now take on Team Canada, 7 o'clock, first pitch tomorrow night in Houston.
So you're telling me right now that United States WBC team would be the equivalent to the Auburn Tigers?
A bubble team.
Yeah, a bubble team.
They were a bubble team last night.
And they got help.
They got help that they needed, and there was no bid stealing going on by Mexico. So the United States, they will advance.
You think it was a huge sigh of relief for the United States team?
I think for Mark DeRosa.
Mark DeRosa, it had to be.
Yeah.
I'm out on him as a manager.
I told you the Braves didn't need him.
As a leader of grown men, he can coach his son's travel ball team.
Yeah. I think he does that pretty well. Not so much Major League Baseball talent.
He kind of looks out to lunch sometimes.
Sometimes?
Most times. He sits by himself in the dugout. Rodney Orr of Tider Insider, never sitting by himself, joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Rodney, how are you?
What's going on, guys?
Oh, we're just watching some SEC tournament basketball, but we are keeping tabs on what's been going on with Kalen DeBoer and spring practice. We're hearing some pretty good buzz, just initial impressions overall now that we get to witness Kalen DeBoer in his third spring installment.
You know what? Today was the first opportunity we had for a media viewing period. We had roughly 13 minutes. A lot you can get in 13 minutes, Landrum.
Yes.
Hey, that's better than zero, right? Than the old days.
It's a lot better than zero. And I tell you, when you've been doing it a long time, you guys know this, you can glean stuff real quickly. And we tried to do that this morning, primarily focused because they were in the indoors. The weather was a little bad. It's clearing up now. It's nice. But so they were in the indoor facility, so it's difficult to see all the positions. So primarily focused on the offense. And look, like I said, I'm reluctant to be too positive because you know how things can turn. But just looking at them on the hoof, it's a good looking group of players. There's no doubt about that. I think they did a really good job in the off season. The guy that really caught my attention immediately was Daniel Hill at running back. He's trimmed down, looks like close to 10 pounds.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
he's a chiseled up guy. Feet look much quicker. In fact, the running back group, just watching him, you could tell there's some quickness back there. A.K. Deere, Kevin Riley. Now, I did not see Crowell, the freshman, heralded freshman, E.J. Crowell, take part in a drill, but he was dressed out, and he does look the part. Like I posted on Tider Insider, he looks like a junior already physically. I mean, he's 5'11", 221, and he's pretty chiseled up. And I would say several of the offensive linemen got my attention. Just, again, on the hoof. Watched new OL coach Adrian Clem. A lot of people have been asking about him. Just kind of checking out his style a little bit, at least what we saw this morning. He kind of seemed to be standing back, taking mental notes, and really teaching. Didn't hear a lot of yelling at that group, but I saw him, certainly doing a lot of teaching.
Rodney Orr from Tider Insider joins us here on the Higginbotham Hotline talking about Alabama's spring practices. He was able to get a little viewing time this morning down in Tuscaloosa watching the Tide. So we did get news earlier this week from Kalen DeBoer that there's going to be multiple players that will not participate in spring. That's typically what happens. You're trying to get these guys healthy in the offseason. They had some offseason surgery or whatever the case may be. But that also gives opportunity to young guys. When you had a chance today What were some of the younger guys that's already on campus that you kind of honed in on and you were looking at and you were impressed with?
Well, I tell you, with William Sanders out, it's a great opportunity for somebody at that left guard spot. I saw
Right.
Nick Brooks over there, the transfer from Texas, and the thing that caught my attention about him, he was listed like almost Proctor size, 6'7", 360 at Texas last year. He's down to 339. So he looked pretty good physically. He kind of grabbed my attention. Another transfer that got my attention on the offensive line was Javen James from Mississippi State. Certainly looks the part. Um, those were two of the offensive linemen. I'd say Chris Booker, the true freshman, too. Just getting a glimpse of him. He looks like he's put in a lot of time in the weight room, and a guy that certainly has a lot of potential. Just talking to some people too, there's been a lot of buzz about some of the transfers and the roles that they can play. I'm hearing a lot of favorable things about Caleb Woodson, the inside backer transfer from Virginia Tech, who was very productive over there the last 2 years. I mean, you heard DeBoer use the word captain when he was talking about him, a captain type player. I've heard the leadership that he's shown has been really good. Kedrick Bingley Jones and Devin Tompkins, two of the transfer defensive linemen, Bingley Jones from Mississippi State, Tompkins from USC. I heard they've been great inside the building, tons of leadership, bring a lot of energy. So those guys have singled out. And Jair Edwards, a true freshman safety, he's been a real buzz around here. Showed up at 221 pounds, or he's now 221 pounds for the start of spring. A lot of talk about him, the leadership that he's brought as a true freshman. So those are some of the guys. Now, I'll tell you this. I think Xavier Brown is limited, at least, maybe out for the spring. And I know that Bray Hubbard at safety as well. And a name that I've heard a lot about is the Mercer transfer, Carmelo O'Neal. And saw him today. Actually, he's one of the few defensive players I got a glimpse of. His size looks legit that they have him listed at 6'4", 209. So he was a guy that really caught my attention. I'm hearing great things about him and his attitude. So hopefully all of these positives, kind of reveal themselves on the field. We heard a lot of buzz last year too, so I want to be very cautious about that.
Rodney Orr of Tighter Insider joining us on Three Man Front on the Higginbotham Hotline. I kind of want to stay with the offensive line, but the coach that's coaching them, Adrian Clem, coming in, Coach Cap is out. We know that the offensive line had struggles, the running game had struggles, as you've laid out and everybody watched last year. But is it more about what Adrian Clem brings that maybe just didn't fit what Coach Cap did? What have you been able to kind of uncover besides the overall result and having a fall guy as to the move?
Again, it's a really interesting scenario. I'm not really sure that, with Grubb coming in, there's always a different mindset. He's different than Nick Sheridan. And I'm not really sure how that blended because Grubb's background is in the offensive line. And I'm not sure how well that meshed with Coach Cap, to be quite frank with you. And I think this is kind of something here with Clem coming in. They feel like it's more of a fit all around, if you want to put it that way. And I think that Clem also brings a little bit of some different mindset in terms of, he's been a guy that's really coached physical football. He likes to run the football, line up, dominate. He's not so much about, some of the finesse that you do on the offensive line. But he wants to bring in some more physical, I think, techniques that kind of help them in the run game.
Rodney Orr from Tighter Insider. A few more minutes here on Three Man Front. Joins us every Thursday talking Alabama athletics. Okay, let's talk about Kalen DeBoer and this offense. All eyes are going to be on Ryan Grubb and trying to get this running game going. You kind of gave us a little preview of what you saw from the running back perspective. A lot of open opportunities on the offensive line. How much do you think, and I know this is speculative and we're sitting here in March, we're not in October, but in March, how much do you anticipate that this running game is going to be drastically different than it was last year?
Yeah, that's a hard question, like you said, in March. I know that there's a concerted effort, obviously.
And let me interrupt you for a second. And the reason I ask you this question, because you and I both have seen a clip that's gone kind of viral in college football from Mark Schlereth, who I'm not going to use the exact salty language that he used to describe the Alabama running game from last year. So
Hey, it's horse dung.
yeah, except yeah. But anyway, there's a
he
lot
was-
of
he
there's
was
I mean he was
pretty blunt.
there's a lot. If you haven't seen it out there, you can find it. But the reason I bring that up is because there seems to be just an extraordinary amount of pressure to get that portion of the offense going. And I just wonder how much we're going to see a change considering the fact that the offensive line is going to have to be redone.
Yeah, well, DeBoer, addressed that right up front in that first a couple of days ago or yesterday when he had his opportunity there with the media. He said we've got to improve the running game. It's obviously a major focal point, for what we're going to try to do. And they've made some changes in that regard, obviously, with Clem coming in, and then also I think Richard Owens, the tight ends coach, with his background as an offensive line coach. Now he is going to strictly coach tight ends, but I think there's some influence there in what they're going to do. So obviously they know that this is a high priority. And DeBoer said, look, for our offense to be effective, we realize we have to be more balanced, that it'll only make our offense better if we can run the ball effectively. So this is something that we know is a focal point. Now, how much improvement they make, certainly that remains to be seen. But it's obvious it's at the top of their priority list.
All right, Rodney, totally unfair, but we don't know anything. We haven't seen enough, so it's just an educated guess. Who's the starter for Alabama next season?
Quarterback?
Yep.
So, well,
Well, we're just coming right out of the gate with all these tough March questions, aren't we?
Hey, leave it to Landrum.
Yeah, that's right.
No, it's a great question, though. Look, I would say this right now as you just look at it. Obviously, Keelan Russell's extraordinarily talented. But I do think that when you talk to some people that you get the feel that the 3 years that Austin Mack has had in the system, and he's very talented as well, but the 3 years he's had in the system is going on year 4, is something that shows up just in the way he manages things. And, I was kind of saying, okay, Keelan Russell's ultimately going to win this battle, this year. And he might. He still might. It's a long way off. I don't think it's decided until the week of the Florida State game. And it might still go on past that. Who knows? But with that said, I do think that Austin Mack is really his command of the offense, understanding, being able to come to the line of scrimmage, make calls, get change protections, whatever it is. I just think that's probably advanced. And that's something that probably Keelan Russell needs to continue to grow at.
Got to ask you a basketball question before we get out of here. Alabama right now, projections, a 3 seed. Once again, another Rodney Orr early prediction, but do you see this team being a Sweet 16, Elite 8?
Final Four.
Final Four, national champion? What are we looking at, Rodney?
Come on, Rodney.
Well, look,
we're trying to
I've
get your
been saying,
message boards going, okay? It's kind of a quiet day. We're trying to get it going.
Make your response
I've said-
15 seconds or less. Go.
I've said Sweet 16, guys, and that's
Okay.
probably what I'm going to stick with,
All right.
Some
That's
people
fair
just
enough.
don't believe, Pat. I'm just kidding. No, they got a tough gauntlet to march through.
We know
Duke's
it's been
waiting at
really
the end.
quiet on the message boards, Rodney. We're just trying to help your business.
Trying to cheer you up.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, it'll get them going.
Just wait till tomorrow night during the basketball game. I'm sure, there'll be a comment or two probably.
I have heard this real quickly. I've heard from a few Alabama fans say, hey, I'd like to win the first one, but I really don't care what happens after that. Let's get out of this SEC tournament and let's get ready and rested and healthy and whole for this for our run in the NCAA tournament. Believe it or not, yes, I've heard a few say that.
Well, I kind of get it. If you're going to face off Florida in the championship game, you want to win it, but you don't want Filine diving over the scorer's table to save basketballs. I kind of get it.
Yeah, that would be good.
That it can wear on you. It depends on where you're sent. If you're playing that Sunday
Right.
game,
No doubt.
I understand the sentiment. And as John Calipari reminded us just a couple of years ago, the SEC basketball tournament means nothing.
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah, and that's kind of been the feeling among some.
Well, that is Rodney Orr. You can follow his work there at Tider Insider. Rodney, have a great weekend. We'll catch up with you next week.
Thanks, Rodney.
Appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Thanks so much. That's Rodney Orr, best in the business. Joins us every Thursday here on Three Man Front. He joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
We continue here on Three Man Front. We got basketball starting up. Bubble watch for the Auburn Tigers. They're going to be cranked up later on today as they take on the Tennessee Vols at Bridgetown. Much more to get to here on this Thursday edition of Three Man Front.
Well, we tried to trick Rodney Orr to giving us a soundbite or two, but he's too good.
He's a pro.
He's not going to fall for the tricks of the trade.
I think he was insinuating that I ask him tough questions.
No, I mean, I asked him a tough question about the offensive line and the running game.
If
Did you see the Mark Schlereth clip? Did you
Yeah,
see
he
that?
was. Yeah, oh yeah, he was not complimentary.
he was not putting on either. That was genuine Mark
Yeah,
Slater.
that's
I
just
watched
him.
that offense, and that running game looked like horse beep.
It was garbage. Says they have no identity outside of trick plays. That's what he said.
No,
It's the
I'm
truth.
just-
Do we
I'm
remember
just
the
quoting what he
Oklahoma
said.
game where Alabama's on their own side of the 50 and they need 1 yard for a first down and they have to go trick play?
Let's go back to the SEC championship game.
They had one game the whole year. They ran the ball well, and it was the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
That was it.
He would quit.
Also had a lot of texts overnight. I appreciate all the kind words folks are chiming in about our interview with John Sumrall yesterday.
That was a lot of fun.
It was. Good dude. Great conversation with him. Appreciate that opportunity to talk to John Sumrall, an Alabama native.
He's going to do well there. I was pulling for him. Now I'm pulling for Alex Golish, but I was hoping that he was going to get the Auburn job because every coach, as I told him yesterday, I mean, it's the truth. Every high school coach, every college coach I've talked to, it's all been consistent with John Sumrall.
So we were talking earlier about this ongoing conversation about what supposedly happened at the ASUN tournament with an Auburn assistant coach that was in attendance, reportedly, on the floor, had a conversation with one of the players for Queens College there in Charlotte. And it's interesting because you juxtapose that to a report that came out yesterday that the Big Ten has sent a letter to the NCAA asking the organization to put a halt to investigations and infractions proceedings related to tampering. So we have one of the big boys. Can you imagine if the SEC had sent a letter to the NCAA and said that we don't need any more investigations? Can you imagine what the people in Big Ten territory, how they would come after us? All they care about is football.
Yep.
That's all they care about. They don't care about academics.
No.
Just cheat. They don't care.
Yep.
But instead now, the Big Ten's being all haughty-toddy, and they're like, well, you know, we don't need to investigate this. There's nothing to see here.
We have plenty of things to investigate if you've been watching the news here.
Yes, like presidents at the Ohio State University having an illicit affair. We need to investigate that.
What creepy team doctor is going to get exposed this year?
Yeah, at Michigan State. Yeah, I mean, it goes on and on.
Yeah, so Big Ten, we know.
But we're not going to investigate if you're going to tamper with players. Just move on. We don't need to do any of that.
Weren't you guys here long enough for the sign stealing? Is there not another conference you guys can go to?
Man, we're kind of on a roll against the Big Ten.
Yeah, we are.
I love it.
Except for football championships.
Have they been punished for tampering?
Have they been punished for anything?
Correct. What's the point? You're doing it already. Nothing's happened to you.
Jim Harbaugh, show calls. Okay, cool. I'm going to the NFL.
I'm going to go to the NFL.
No problem. Give me a lifetime ban. I don't care. I'm making $15 million a year at the, almost said San Diego Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers. Doesn't matter.
No.
Let's go. So they have in this letter stated that the current framework for tampering rules cannot be credibly or equitably enforced, pointing out the rules for tampering were designed before the modern era and includes paying athletes and essentially unlimited transfers.
And tampering's a deal. And I know that they had the suggestions for the penalties. I don't think it's enough. I think the fear is that they know that everybody's tampering and what that would do if they put, and everybody agreed to it, like a show cause. How many coaches would be out of college football?
They say these rules were not designed for a world in which student athletes are compensated, market participants making annual decisions with significant economic consequences.
Well, to be fair, if you're a professional athlete, you're in the final year of your contract, like I'll go back to Freddie Freeman in his final year with the Braves. His representation is having conversations with the Braves and probably other potential suitors while Freddie Freeman is going through the course of a season. The only difference is a lot of these kids, and okay, professional versus amateur, but a lot of these kids are getting text. I told you there was an SEC, I saw the text with my own eyes. An SEC coach texting a defensive lineman during fall camp, trying to get him to hurry up and come over there because they needed help on the D-line. This guy's in practice 4, Pat.
Bold.
Just, no, here's the area code. Here's my school-issued phone. I'm texting you in the light of day, knowing that you're going through fall camp right now. And knowing that you're probably going to share this with your coaches, which he did. but I don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
What's going to happen?
Zero. Meanwhile, so that's the Big Ten angle. Yesterday, it was a big day in the state of South Carolina. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster, he vetoes a state NIL law that would keep NIL revenue share contracts secret. So think about this for a second. The governor, the legislature had already voted to continue to make NIL contracts with college athletes private. They cannot be public. But the governor vetoes it. This is what the South Carolina Senate said. They said failure to adopt this important legislation will deter prospective student athletes and current student athletes from competing in Division I athletics in the state of South Carolina. So both houses there in the state of South Carolina, they were all for it. Let's protect these young people. Let's keep these contracts private, because if you make them public, then folks aren't going to want to come here. They're not going to want to sign with Clemson. They're not going to want to sign with South Carolina or the College of Charleston or whatever else. But now the governor is saying no, that this needs to be public record. So the bills fell. We'll see if it goes anywhere else after this. But that is a definite step backwards for Shane Beamer and Dabo Swinney in them trying to get athletes to come to their schools.
Where are you on this? I'm all about transparency. I want to see these deals.
I want to see these deals too. Just like these states that want to give these young people these tax breaks, when there are hardworking people out there every single
Don't
day
get me on that one.
that is busting their tail. And just because you do not have the gift of getting a scholarship or getting an opportunity to go to a school and play whatever, you should pay your fair share.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people out there that work
The guy
two
that's working
jobs.
at the plant that saves up to take his family to one game a year, if he can, or maybe just to afford the subscription that he needs to watch his favorite team. He's making $30K. And meanwhile, and I'm not talking about the kid that's making $5,000, the cross-country kid that got $2,500 for the season. I'm talking about your Carson Becks making $4 million.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to pay the same taxes. None, actually. If in certain areas, it was just income tax, right? Just a state income tax.
Right. Now,
But plant worker does?
well, and listen, you can live in certain states where you don't have to pay state income tax.
That's right.
Prime example, Tennessee.
But they
Florida.
did this as a recruiting advantage.
Yes, Florida, Texas, they don't have state income tax. So they've already got a leg up. So these other southern states are saying, hey, we don't need NIL as part of the tax code. We can let that slide. Arkansas has let it slide. I know Georgia's trying to get it passed. I have no idea if the state of Alabama, because we seem to be 5 years behind the times when it comes to legislation on certain things.
And I understand that we offer tax incentives for people to come and build and start industry here. I think Mercedes probably got a good bit of tax incentives when they moved operations and their plant or some of their plant to Alabama. I get all of that, but now I just go back to the college quarterback and Carson Beck, and it's not just Carson Beck, but I thought about him because he was at Georgia. How many of these kids are making stupid money and not having to fall under the same financial consequences, implications as your ordinary Joe?
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned it. How many sidewalk alumni out there, because tickets and concessions and parking and everything that goes into going to a Southeastern Conference football game, and you work your butt off and your kids want to go to the game, and all of a sudden you don't get a tax break.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, your starting quarterback that's making $2 million a year, he doesn't have to pay taxes.
The guy who's working the extra shift the other 11 Saturdays that you're playing, so he can take his family to go watch you play Mercer.
Yeah, because that's the only game that you probably can get tickets for.
Yeah. I got a problem with that.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't know where you draw the line, how you fix it, because I do realize there's the kids that aren't getting $4 million. But just seems wrong on the surface.
We will talk to Rob Pate, former Auburn DB, Entrepreneur of the Year down in Lee County. He will join us coming up in about 15 minutes. Tip-off in Nashville, moments away between Kentucky and Mizzou. We'll get you updated on that as well. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks.
.34, they are just underway in Bridgestone Arena, the Southeastern Conference men's basketball tournament. Continuing today, Missouri, their first day of action, taking on Kentucky, who had a tight tussle with the LSU Tigers, but Big Blue Nation is there in attendance, well represented. They're taking on Missouri, and Coach Dennis Gates, very nice guy. Got to meet him in San Antonio, talked to him last year during the Final Four. But attempting Conrad, and he's done a remarkable job. He had the one drop-off that year, and it was dismal. And that was a bad drop-off. But attempting to make his third NCAA tournament in 4 seasons at Missouri.
Well,
Not bad.
About to say, being able to rebound from they didn't win a game in the SEC, if I remember correctly, that one season. So, yeah, to have them back where they are, win today over Kentucky would certainly help them out. But it seems like they're going to be pretty safe and sound in the NCAA tournament regardless. And we'll see if Kentucky, just like yesterday, that LSU team gave them a pretty good scare, so we'll see if they are a little rejuvenated today. But it is looks packed there. I see a lot of blue, not a big surprise.
No, a ton of blue. You're right. Auburn and Tennessee coming up following this game. Auburn, the winner over Mississippi State. Tigers pulled away late yesterday to avenge the earlier loss they have in the regular season in Starkville. 5.5, according to Las Vegas, Tennessee. And they won the earlier regular season matchup, the one time the two teams played there in Knoxville, where Auburn did not shoot it well at all. Didn't play well at all. But you could point to a lot of games where they didn't play well at all. But all of that being said, and I had them done, dead and buried. Indiana falls to Northwestern yesterday in the Big Ten tournament.
Yep.
So as of right now, Joe Lunardi, updated, Auburn is the last team in. And according to some, it doesn't matter if they win or lose today. I contend you need to win just knowing what we know right now.
Yes, because you don't want to open up, we talked about bid stealers, and you open yourself up to that if you don't get a win today. But I think, okay, so let's fast forward to this afternoon. Auburn's got a victory over Tennessee. If that happens, do we feel like they're pretty much in at that point? Because
Yes.
I know at the beginning of the week, I thought maybe you have to win 3 in a row, which would be beating Vanderbilt on Friday. You and Pat.
But that was before
We knew with the info, yes, and everybody else kind of fell off. But you and Pat were pretty adamant that, get past Tennessee, you're going to be in a good spot. So we think a win today, and you're in. It just feels like we've said that.
win today,
How
you're
many games
in.
for Auburn lately? If
Win
you
today,
this
you're
game,
in, and probably a 50-50 chance if you don't of still getting in. Now,
Yeah.
that could mean playing in Dayton. I think Auburn is probably going to go to Dayton.
even with the victory today. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where Joe Lunardi has them, and they'd be playing in one of those games, taking on, would that be SMU? And then the winner of that game would take on BYU.
Okay.
Potentially.
Interesting. And I asked Rocco about BYU on Tuesday, and that's a team that, yes, they have the Diabonsa, the projected number 1 pick in the NFL or NBA draft, but they're also very hurt. Some serious injuries to some key players there. So, you at this point, you never say never with this Auburn team, because as you said, a lot of us wrote them off a week or two ago, and here we are looking at a potential scenario where they could go one win in the SEC tournament and somehow still find themselves in the NCAA tournament. So you never know how the bracket will play out.
Now, one team that the Auburn Tigers are hoping holds serve, it's Miami of Ohio. They need to win their MAC championship. Undefeated through the regular season, but they need to win the MAC, because if somebody else goes, that steals one of those bids, and that could hurt Auburn.
Yes, and the belief is that would be Akron would be that team to maybe dethrone Miami, Ohio.
Well, Miami of Ohio, they lead UMass 66-56.
Okay.
10 minutes to go in the second half of that game.
I think they'll be able to close that one out. But no, that was a very good point, though, because that is a team, and we've obviously talked about them a lot because Bruce Pearl has a lot of comments on that team recently, but it is funny that they all seem to come back together to each other.
Other games in action right now in the ACC tournament quarterfinal, Will Wade and NC State trailing Virginia 25-24. Ryan Odom there at Virginia doing a wonderful job. Providence and St. John's in the Big East tournament quarterfinal. St. John's leading the Friars 28-14. Texas Tech right now doing what Iowa State did yesterday to Arizona State, 10-2. Red Raiders leading in that Big 12 tournament quarterfinal. And checking there in Nashville, Kentucky with an early 7-5 lead over Missouri, 16.5, just less than that to go in the first half.
Yeah, I will say, and to their credit, right, we saw yesterday a lot of teams, Ole Miss beating Texas, LSU gave a good scare to Kentucky. South Carolina was up big on Oklahoma early before Oklahoma came back, but you had some competitive games yesterday, and I think today you're going to have an even better slate of games as, a lot of these teams are NCAA tournament teams, but you could tell, even yesterday, the teams you would look at and go, man, what does Ole Miss have to play for? What does LSU have to play for? Pride.
That's it.
And they brought it to Nashville, so I think today will be much the same.
Well, now that we're getting some of these NIL numbers from some of these SEC teams, you got a lot to play for.
Well, and that's a good point, is a lot of these players maybe on a team that's not going to the NCAA tournament, you're playing for that next deal,
Well,
whether it's where you are or somewhere else.
we thought values, and they're upside down and outrageous for some college football players that come out of the portal. And he was second best defensive lineman on a bad team out of a non-power 4, and he's getting $500,000 to go and back up somebody else's backup at a power 4. It's upside down. But now, looking at some of these basketball numbers, whoa.
You don't think
do we need to have they get to SEC meetings and it's money management or how to manage a bankroll roster? We go money ball here. I don't know if you bring in whoever.
Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill? you can't tell me, and who knows, it might just be a situation of, all right, we're going to have a similar dollar amount. We're just going to retool the roster. But like an Ole Miss, for example, and the number that we've heard for that roster and what they've gotten from it, you can't tell me they're not going to trim some fat this offseason.
No. Well,
It's based on the amount you're spending. If you're in the upper half of the conference and
but it's all about combinations, too.
it is.
Auburn got some good players, some proven players, but they're spending $12 million on that roster.
Yeah.
And
The
sometimes
chemistry
all the
part is
pieces
key.
don't work.
No, chemistry is key, and that's. I think in today's day and age, you say, all right, let's try it again next year, and hope it works out better.
You mentioned chemistry. How about your body's chemistry? You got to think about Mandu. Now that this cold snap is going to be here and kind of feel like spring-like weather. Been the warm weather. It's going to return. You know it here in the state of Alabama. You're going to be wearing less clothes. You want to feel better about yourself. You want to look better. Well, I got the place for you. It's Mandu. Mandu is electrical muscle stimulation fitness. They've got the studio right here in downtown Homewood, also in Huntsville and also in Tuscaloosa. But your first visit's free. It's a 15-minute workout, all FDA approved. They hook you up to a machine. It sends electric pulses to various muscle groups. You can work on arms. You want to spot train. You can go chest. You can go legs. You can go glutes, or you can go total body, all different kinds of things. Tailor-made programs just for you. 15 minutes at Mandu is the equivalent to 6 hours in a gym. That's why people have reacted the way that they have, the Jocks listeners. What? Are you kidding me? That can't be right. They try it. First workout's free. They go through it. All right, I'm going to sign up. They sign up, and then a month later, they're texting me, and they're going, I love it. You were right about Mandu. Mandu is for you. It can be for you. Try them out. MANDUU.com. MANDUU.com. Go through the workout. It's free, no obligations, no fine print. Paul and his team, they'll put you through the workout. And if you like it, well, you're welcome. Make sure you tell Paul and the gang that Landrum from Jocks sent you. We continue here. We'll keep you updated what's going on there in Nashville and around the country. Bubble Watch continues. Three-man front continues here on Jocks. 11:46, three-man front. We continue. SEC tournament action continuing. Auburn in action. Their rematch with Tennessee. Tigers get it done over Mississippi State. Win. We believe they're in the NCAA tournament, even without a win today over the Vols. Potentially a 50-50 chance of getting in, or maybe more. But everything going Auburn's way, at least for yesterday. We'll see how it goes today. Former Auburn DB, current eye doctor, philanthropist, entrepreneur, and just a great father and grandfather. Not great-grandfather, but he's just a great dad. Rob Pate. Hey, Rob, how are you?
Hey, man. Hey, it happened so fast. I'll probably be a great-grandfather before long.
Oh, you'll be a great one, though. A great one.
I hope so.
Yeah, you'll spoil those kids. Are you spoiling the grandbaby yet?
Oh, man. She's so amazing. She turns 1 in 2 days.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. So it does. It just flies by. But, yeah, we're going to spend some time with her this weekend. So super excited about that.
All right, got to ask you, are they in the tournament or not? Or does Auburn need more work in Nashville to punch their ticket?
I mean, I would say that they're in, just based off of all the help that they've gotten, but I think that as much as we say that these conference tournaments don't matter, I think Auburn, our guys really need some wins to stack and just to bolster their resume. And I also think that the committee says that, what happens at the end of the season is no different than what happens at the beginning of the season. But, we all have recency bias, and the last thing they see, is the last thing they're going to talk about and discuss when they're talking about Auburn. So, as much as a difficulty it is to play Tennessee in Tennessee, and the physical style of play that they have, it's another top 25 program that you have to go up against. Auburn needs a good showing, even if they don't win. I mean, I don't think it needs to be one where they're losing by double digits and going away. I mean, they just have to show up and look like a team that wants to be there. And, I think that needs that final kind of picture in that committee's mind, I think is going to be very telling for, what happens to Auburn on Selection Sunday.
And you hear it as a letterman there, living entrenched in the community, and you talk to all kinds of folks. Body language, that was something that kind of struck me about a month ago. And I was telling Pat here on the show after watching one of the games where they just look like they'd just rather be somewhere else. What has the sentiment been for not only this particular team, but Stephen Pearl? What are you hearing from the Auburn folk?
It's a mixed bag. I mean, there's obviously people that lean towards, hey, look, he got a position that he didn't deserve, and Auburn needs to cut ties. While, you're still close to having Final Four appearances, and you have the potential of going out and get somebody that wants to come in and maintain the dominance that Auburn has seen over the last 7 or 8 years. And then you've got others that say, hey, listen, Stephen was put in a very poor position of having to coach kids that didn't commit to play for him. And, that's a very hard thing to walk into, especially when you're coming off of the expectations of a Final Four and you have 0 returning starters on that team and only 1 player from that team. And so, it just wasn't a great situation all the way around. And, making the tournament, I think, would be, it would be some icing, some things that would go well, and hopefully things they could build upon as a program. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a mixed bag from people around town.
Let me ask you about the football program, because on Wednesday, the Alex Golish era will begin as spring practice opens up down there on the Plains. What are you excited the most about, being a former letterman, in regards to what you would like to see this spring?
Well, the first thing is having coaching that you can tell wants to be there. I think that he's battling day in and day out, and from the CEO standpoint, I think he's got every I dotted and every T crossed, and he's doing a great job there. Now, what happens on game days and the actual X's and O's and calling of the plays, obviously that matters a ton. But I think the demeanor will be there. I think the want and the fight and the drive will be there. And I think for a lot of Auburn people, just missing that and what we've seen from just the demeanor of our coaches has been lacking. And so people are excited about that. Biggest thing for us, though, is quarterback play. I mean, having a kid that's going to step in with the experience and the talent that we will get in Byron Brown, I think that's enormous. And we all know that's the most important position on the field. You cannot win in this conference and in college football this day and age without a guy that can carry a lot of weight and responsibility at that position. And he brings the confidence and brings the numbers that he's been able to do it. Granted, it hasn't been in the SEC, but so many kids come into this conference from outside of this conference with a lot of confidence. And I can't think of anybody that's coming in with as much confidence as this young man. And so I think Auburn will feed off of that, and it gives them a chance to score a lot of points and to be in most football games.
Well, and I think we've had enough examples now in the transfer portal era, and he's a special, unique talent. And I'm not comparing the two, but I guess I kind of am. Trinidad Chambliss, what he was able to do at Ole Miss, coming from Division II Ferris State. I just want to stick with the quarterback position. Byron Brown, for people that say, well, he played at South Florida, that doesn't translate. I watched him beat Florida. Granted, it wasn't a great Florida team. Watched him beat Boise. But for someone who played the game, that kind of talent, does it translate to the SEC, Rob?
Yeah, it does, because they're talented, confident guys. I mean, look at guys like Cam Ward, who came from a place like Incarnate Word. A guy like Diego Pavia that bounces all around, has no shot, and he just wills his team to victory because the type of the demeanor and what he's built on. So I think that these guys obviously are using this as a launching pad to prove that they can play at this level. So they come in with a chip, no doubt. But it's very similar to a lot of these guys that play baseball that have the potential of being able to be SEC products, but maybe we had a transfer that came in front of them. So they go down to a community college or a Division II or a much lower level because they need the experience, and they get seen and they come back in, and they were always the ability was always there. The opportunity wasn't. And, so that's happened so much at the quarterback position, but really every position. And I still think that you have to build that offensive front with development, but, we'll see how Auburn does with a bunch of guys up front that have a lot of experience, but not a lot of SEC experience. I still think that matters more than just about any other place.
That is Rob Pate, joins us every Thursday here on the program. All right, we asked you a couple weeks ago, any new flavors at Sweet Frog that we could get excited about over the next couple weeks?
Yeah, let's see. We've got a new promotion that's coming with frosted animal cookie.
Oh,
hey, what?
Whoa, I like that.
So that's going to be an option, and we just put in raspberry pomegranate, which a lot of folks enjoy, and we're thinking about trying to do a banana cream pie soon. So,
man,
I'm looking at the orange cream creamsicle.
The orange cream, yeah, that one's about to go away. So if you want to get that one, you got to come in soon.
Okay.
While supplies last.
That's right. Man.
Sweet Frog in Auburn.
Right.
That's no doubt. Rob, always a pleasure. I hope you and your family have a great weekend, and we'll catch up with you next Thursday.
All right, guys. Same to you. War Eagle.
Thank you so much. Rob joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
I don't really even like sweets, but the sugar cookie frosted animal
cracker.
I mean, if I want to get wild one night.
There you go. That's right.
Dave, I'm coming home, and I've got Sweet Frog.
That's right. Frosted animal cracker. Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll keep you posted what's going on in Nashville and the rest of college basketball. We're halfway home on this Thursday.